We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. Now we're going to do things a little different. We are going to provide an honest look at Ole Miss athletics for the fan, by the fan, and of the fan. That is what we do. Hell be to me. I'm just kidding. Tune in for some Ole Miss sports news. We're going to give it to you straight. Yeah, right now. The POMcast starts now. It happens now. Holy cow. Listen to me. It's starting. Well, it's going to start right about now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome everybody to the POMcast. I am your host, Stephen Willis, on this wonderful, magical mystery tour. And before we get started, I do want to wish good luck to the Ole Miss soccer team. First game of the NCAA tournament tonight in Wilmington. I believe that is on the being televised on the University of North Carolina Wilmington Seahawks page, so you can catch it there. But Ole Miss versus Bowling Green tonight in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Good luck to them. Anyway, again, I am Stephen Willis. Thank you very much for tuning in. Before we get started, I do need to read this real quick and tell you guys what's going on. And it's about the Vault Society. And basically any gift to Ole Miss athletics, the big one that they're pushing for right now is the Vault Society. That's a minimum of 5-year commitment of support. Membership starts at $5,000 a year, and there's a benefit chart on the site. We'll get to that in just a second. All gifts to the Ole Miss between now and June 30th will receive triple points. Red points are for non-deductible and go towards priority seating. Those are actually due and lock in this week, by the way. And blue points are 90% tax deductible and go towards parking and non-home ticketed games. That's postseason bowl games, neutral site, like when we play Louisville on Labor Day. The site is give2athletics.com. Again, that is give2athletics.com. The Vault Society, kind of a big deal, can really work to increase your standing, honestly, with Ole Miss fans and in fandom. So it's a pretty good deal. Again, my name is Stephen Willis. Thanks for tuning in. I'm trying something a little bit different today with the broadcast, and I'm keeping an eye on the system usage and the drop frames and all that. Because if this works, it'll get a little bit better in the future. As you can see above the Rebel Walk, right there. Yeah. Either way, you can see I'm running a little thing over there and see how that does. But our system usage right now is pretty good, so that's awesome. If that can work out and we can keep using that, because that will serve as a way to advertise what we're doing. So that's pretty cool. Also, if you're interested in watching the show, which you are because you're watching it, you can catch us on Twitter at the Stephen Willis and at the Rebel Walk. You can catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast. We're on YouTube at Positively Ole Miss. Hit the bell for notifications, and so please subscribe. You can know not just when we're streaming, but what we're streaming, and you determine if that is interesting to you. At Positively Ole Miss on YouTube. We've gotten a few subscribers over the weekend. Thank you very much. And we're on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss. That's the lure, and we're going to have to work to build that up over the next few weeks. But that is the idea. Twitch is Positively Ole Miss, all one word. We also have a couple of catch-alls. Willis Digital Media on YouTube. We'll have all the videos that we do, not just the Ole Miss ones, as well as Willis Digital Media on Twitch. Again, all the videos we do, not just the Ole Miss ones. Now, if radio is more your thing, you can catch us on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and Pandora. We're on smaller podcatchers as well. And you can also catch us on our Discord server at Positively Ole Miss. We're advertising for that down at the bottom of the screen, as you can see. But we haven't linked up that all the streams that are going in, all the comments go into that Discord, and you can see if you comment on YouTube, if you comment on Facebook, if you comment on Twitter, if you comment on Twitch, it's all going to go to that Discord page. So you can go to one place and see everything. Also, if you comment on that, it's going to go out to the actual feed. I do want to show this real quick, just to show you what it looks like. That is what the chat looks like. But if you comment on the Discord, as you can see at the very top, it will show up as such. But whatever you comment on, it will come up with basically, if you comment on YouTube, it's going to come up that's coming from YouTube. If you comment from Twitch, it's going to say it's coming from Twitch. But we have a Restream bot that'll take it all to the Discord, and it's all grouping together. It's pretty cool. So that is what we're doing with Discord. We're trying to work to create the best possible product available, and and give options to people. And I mean, it's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about it. Let's see. I didn't hit that, so. All right. Before we get into today, Kermit Davis had a media availability yesterday where he talked about new signings and how they're going to play and things like that. We're going to get into that first, and then when we come back, we're going to touch on the transfer portal for basketball, how it's going to affect football, because basketball gives us some hint. And hint, it is a good thing for Ole Miss and exactly what we've been needing. So stick around for that. We're going to play the media availability of Kermit Davis. And let me move that over just a little bit. There we go. And when we come back, we'll get into the transfer portal a little bit.
Yep. Thanks for being with us, guys. You know, I'm really proud of our staff and coaches and the job they did in the spring recruiting period. Thought we signed 4 quality players to go along with 3 really good high school players in the fall. I think we've got a really good mixture of height, versatility, shooting, experience with our 3 transfers. And I know everybody in college basketball is working to stay older, but I still think you've got to get a great mixture of good young players that you can develop. And I think we've got both in this class to go along with the returning guys. And so yeah, we're right now in final exams, and guys are finishing up school, and they'll be heading home. Most of them will for the month of May before we get back in June to start summer workouts. Yeah, you know, Ben, I don't think anybody's ever done in recruiting, really in any class, whether it's 21, 22, or 23. So I think we're always still paying attention, at everything during the year, but feel really good about where we are right now. Yeah, we feel great about the 2 high school guys from Mississippi, obviously, and Deshaun and Jamin. And, Jamin was one of the very first guys that I called when I got the job here. And so we've been recruiting him for a long time, and was very, very heavily involved when he made his decision to go to Duke. We're right there. And, so just happy that now he's back. And we love him as a player, his talent. Obviously he's a great guy, great family. And you're right. I mean, Jackson's been very good to Ole Miss basketball in years past. And we love the 2 guys we got from there coming in. Yeah, I think we feel good about Sammy and Robert, and I love Luis is not real tall, but his versatility for next year we'll play a little bit different offensively. But you're right. I mean, obviously Jamin 6'8", 6'9", 220, very versatile. Nasir has started almost 60 games at our level, Cincinnati and Miami. Shot blocker, 7 feet. I think Nasir next year could be as athletic as any five man in college basketball, shot blocker. And then we really like Eric, kid we got from Raleigh. Won a state championship, very skilled. I mean, he's 6'8" with like a 7'2" wingspan, really skilled. And so we think Eric's going to be a really good player. So we really like like you said, the height, but the versatility of those guys. Well, we played against him when he was at Cincinnati. They beat us in the finals in the Destin tournament. We'd beaten Baylor the first game, and then Cincinnati beat us. They had a really good team, so we saw him firsthand, loved him then. Then obviously went and set out a year at Miami when Mick got the job at UCLA, and then started. So he's going to graduate in May. He'll be a grad transfer, and so just like a lot of the different things, we've seen him in person, but then we got a chance to really watch him a lot from this past year's film.
All right. Hit the button and it kind of clicked over there, so I'm sorry about that. He's talking about Nasir Brooks a little bit and the transfer in line with him. So when we look at the transfer portal and we look at what it did in basketball, we saw several Elite Eight teams and basketball teams just completely transform their roster through the portal. And there are some teams that can actually do that. There's some teams that can transfer that. And basketball is uniquely able to do that because there's only 12, 13 people on the roster, and you can pick up 4 or 5 and completely change the makeup of your roster. So that's what we're looking at in the transfer portal for basketball. And what we're learning from it is it basically takes importance away from recruiting. Now, I'm not saying recruiting is not important. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying take Jamin Brakefield. It was a situation that was Ole Miss was in until the very end, and everybody expected Ole Miss to win that competition to get him. Well, Duke came in at the last second and got him. But Ole Miss finished second. And now, whenever you sign a player, it is up to you to play said player and keep player happy, because failing to do so will result in the open transfer and them get out of Dodge. And then Ole Miss was right there to be the landing spot for Jamin Brakefield in Oxford, Mississippi. Now, that's what basketball looks like. And you have the Nasir Brooks. This is going to be a second transfer, although he's going to be a grad transfer, as you heard from Kermit in May. Now, what does this mean for football? Well, you have to sign so many players anyway. So a class is normally 25 spots long. And you have the blue bloods that are pretty good at hoarding players. I mean, 4 and 5 stars everywhere. Now, not only do you have to keep them happy, because whoever number 2 is, they're in danger of still being alive, and the recruiting process goes through the first year. But you also have to decide whether or not you're going to sign a full class of 25 to begin with, or you're going to leave spots up and open for your own transfer. It's a depth issue, and it basically pulls depth away from the blue blood programs. Everybody's going to say the blue bloods can poach everybody, yada, yada, yada. They're not going to get off the high school players because that's where they're making their money right now. That is where they're getting their success. They're getting the best of the best there. They're not going to utilize the transfer portal very much. Now, you're going to see some grad transfers go into positions of need and things like that, but it won't look anything like the mid-tier clubs and then the lower-tier clubs. Because all 3 of those are going to handle this completely different, and it's going to be a sliding scale, in my opinion. The blue bloods are going to stick to the formula that works. It's just period. That's just what they're going to do. They're going to try and get the high school players and stockpile them. Now, whether or not they stay happy, that's irrelevant. They're going to do what they've always done because that's the measure of success that they've gotten through all of this. The mid-tier clubs are going to do a combination of high school recruiting, making sure you're getting into that top two in case something goes wrong, and you're going to hit the transfer portal. Let's see. Sorry about that. And the lower kids are the lower tier teams, like the Sunbelt schools and things like that, are going to maybe go over in the transfer portal unless recruiting high school kids. You've seen that at Texas State, to where they do that, and you can basically. Let's see. I'm gonna get into this after I take a short break. Give me just a second. We're at 11:15 already, and I don't want to keep you this whole time once we go. So let's take this short break, and when we come back, we'll get into really what that means and what that's going to look like.
You want to answer that, don't you? I bet it's just killing you seeing the soft glow just inches away. Someone wants to tell you something or ask you something. Oh, come on, answer it already! Just so we're clear, that wasn't my fault. Next time, ignore your inner voice. Don't text and drive. A message from Florida's trusted choice independent insurance agents.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis. I just want you to stick around a little longer. We're going to get back to the podcast right after these messages.
Tonight, nearly 40,000 veterans across the country are homeless. These men and women have pledged to serve our nation, and now we must serve them. Landlords across the country have helped make significant progress in reducing veteran homelessness by making housing available, but there is more that we can do to bring our veterans home. Visit www.va.gov/homeless to see how you can get involved. And if you are a veteran and you are experiencing homelessness, please call 877-4AID-VET. Thank you.
All right, welcome back to the POMcast. Stephen Willis, the host. Obviously, if you've heard the commercials and the break and you're doing things like that, see a veteran in need, help him out. It's worth it. It's something I am very strongly in favor of, and I hate to see any veteran getting left behind, and take care of that. So that's the reason those are on there, those PSAs and things like that. So take care of your veterans, and you go. All right, transfer portal. This is the way we looked. Before we went into the break, we talked about the Blue Bloods kind of being very recruiting centric, the mid tier being a combination, and the lower tier being more transfer portal than recruiting. Now, if they can get players that are falling between the cracks, they're going to take high school players, and there's some that are going to take high school players anyway, but they understand the level of jump that they can make from these mercenaries. And honestly, that is not a negative connotation thing. That's just the reality of what we're going to deal with in these one-time transfers. And we should all be prepared for a different style relationship with the kids on campus, because these kids are brought in to simply win. It's not a developmental. It's not a get to know them. It's just, what are you doing for me lately? Now, I think Ole Miss is very well positioned to do very well in this environment. We have a coach that is an early adopter. And what that means is he's willing to do things before other people do, and he's not reliant on what other people are doing. Some people will watch a football game and everything is like, okay, this isn't working out for us. We need to do things like Bama. We need to do things like Clemson. We need to do things like Texas. Those situations is a very reactionary fandom. That's the way they see it. There's nothing really wrong with that, but being reactionary and doing things like that, it doesn't really take into account all the things that you can do on your own, and you might not be able to do what they're doing. So Lane Kiffin is a guy, like I said, early adopter, but more importantly than that, he does things his way. And it does not matter at all what people outside are doing. People might not understand it, they might not get it, but everything has a purpose. Like Party in the Sip was all about social media and getting the word out that these people are having fun. This is a fun school. This is where I want to go. It's all part of things, since you can't right now get kids on campus. It's to get the idea in their head that, hey, I can see myself there. I can see myself doing that. And it's all a brand. That is the brand he's trying to create. Fun, competitive, pro mindset. That is everything to do with this program from Lane Kiffin. And it is about projecting that outward. People talk about the fire extinguisher and things like that. They might get a little bit upset about it or whatever. But no, it's about recruiting. It's about trying to get people down the line. Because once this opens up and Ole Miss can start recruiting itself again, we are going to be so ahead of the game, it's not even funny. But we need to prepare ourselves for this class and beyond. We might not sign but 17 or 18 players. And that might be the expectation going forward, and fill the rest up with transfer portal, like we were talking about earlier. Because Ole Miss, let's just be real, is a mid-tier school. So Ole Miss is going to try and make themselves more talented through the transfer portal. They're going to try and cut depth by taking players from the Blue Bloods, and they're going or an excels and players that fell through the cracks from the lower ones. They're going to be the best of both worlds, and the ones that are left over in the transfer portal are going to go to the smaller schools. You're going to see Louisiana Monroe or Louisiana Tech and those guys be more competitive than they have historically been because of this. Because before the transfer portal and before this rule, and when it was all recruiting, it was all a very caste system. You had your blue bloods, and these players were jockeying around them. You have your mid-tier that couldn't quite get into the blue blood club. And then, you just get a slightly less talented group of players all the way down. And you get down to Louisiana Monroe or, University of Louisiana, it's going to look a little different. I mean, other than players that fall through between the cracks. Now, whenever players fall between the cracks, you can, have a pretty special season down there. But it's going to look a little different. You're going to have players, just on sheer numbers alone, that end up leaving, let's say, Auburn, can't find a landing spot, ends up at Western Kentucky. Now, that receiver that is Auburn talented, that was just unhappy there for whatever reason, is now going against Conference USA talent as opposed to SEC talent. And they have a chance to really stand out. Now, you're also going to see, since this has gone in, less players going to the 1AA level. So you're going to see 1AA football drop down. So where you would see the Sun Belt schools, the mid-tier Sun Belt schools, be about on par with the upper level FCS schools. That's going to disappear a little bit because now there's no penalty for transferring in division. There's no need to drop down. So players that leave Texas State, for instance, that's not happy, they might drop down because it's a very slight thing. But you're not going to see the Power Fives drop down a level just because they want to play. So keep that in mind as well. But that is what we're looking at in the transfer portal. It's a very, very exciting time. And the way it sets up and where Ole Miss sits, Ole Miss is going to be taking depth away from the blue blood while getting talent from below. And now you can get the best of both worlds because, if the rules are set up to where you can't succeed, and I think it's undeniable the rules are set up the way that only 8 teams can really succeed. If those rules are set up that way, you got to change the rules. And this transfer portal thing is a rule changer. This is a status changer. This is going to shake up college football. Not for better or for worse, it's just going to happen. Be prepared for that. As who you're used to seeing, you're going to see some people fall off, and you're going to see some people rise. Now, we're trying to be the group that rises, but you never can tell how that goes. Now, we do have a coach, like I said, that's an early adopter, and he came in and took the job and talked about the JUCOs and the high schools and the grad transfers and the transfers. And there were 4 different things. Well, now, honestly, they're built up as we've been recruiting them from 4 different things. They're actually now 2. 1 transfers, eligible immediately, 1 signings. The only difference is the amount of eligibility. So pay attention to that. Be excited about that. I would follow, especially over the next 6 months, more towards the transfer portal than I would towards recruiting. I would not get involved with recruiting until after the football season starts. Anything before that is just guesstimation, and you're not really sure what your needs are at that point. Because last year, for better or for worse, just completely wrecked perceptions. And you end up with an FPI that has Mississippi State number 8. So, all right. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes back. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Tune in tomorrow for the POMcast. We'll figure out what we're going over. Today was just all about the transfer portal, and I'm just very excited about that. And if my thoughts got a little scatterbrained, I'll do this again because it's very exciting and it's very, very much what we needed. And I'll figure out a way to communicate that more effectively. But want everybody to have a good day. Good luck to the Rebels tonight in the NCAA tournament in Wilmington, North Carolina. And hotty toddy.